Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. 'Tis the season for Transformers. Fa la 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 la. Open boxes, make room for more. Fa la 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 la. There's never such a thing as too many figures. Fa la 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 la. That's all I got. Okay, I'm done being goofy. So, Transformers video. I'm like, I got 5 years of content on those shelves behind me, and God knows what I'm gonna collect in the future. So, Transformers videos are fun, and it's really cool getting to be introduced to so many people who are in the fandom. I'm gonna have to check out the More Than Meets the Eye comics. I had not gotten into them. I'll be honest, I never was into the Transformers comics. I was always just a Gen 1, a Gen 2 first movie, first Michael Bay movie, boom, like the classics. You know, we all like what we like. You like what you like, I like what I like. It's fine. It's totally okay. You know? But now that I have discovered, thank you, dear viewer, that Hot Rod plays a huge role in the More Than Meets the Eye series, now I am obligated to read it. So, content for days. But no, that's what's fun about fantasy and sci-fi and just all this, the nerdity of it all, because there's always more. You know, it's great that they can just keep finding new ways to reinvent series. Like, I've said it before, I've never been one of those people who's like, oh my God, they remade something. That's awful. Only the way that we did it was the right way. We all have a preference. But remember that art is a reflection of the time in which it's written and to who it's written to. So for art to make a connection with a new group of people or a new generation, it must be reinvented. Or perhaps the artist who was starving at one point and had to do whatever the studio said at one point is not starving, and then they can do what they want with their own property. You know, it's a machine. Gotta feed the machine, and until you get to a certain status, you gotta take what the machine gives you. Like Sailor Moon is a really good example. There are some people who are like, Sailor Moon Crystal's terrible. And the others like, the old 90s cartoon is, you know, all filler. It is. But I see the fun in both. You know, the original 90s cartoon, you know, back then when they were translating manga into anime, a lot of times, and this happens with novels too, you know, the stories at some point diverge because the media changed. What works in a book doesn't always work as a visual media. What works on a theater stage doesn't necessarily work on a movie screen. What works as a comic might not work as a novella. And that's why media has to be adapted. But again, I was a theater and English major, so I understand all that. I understand the theory of writing stories. I understand the construct. I understand why things have to change, or if they go to a different audience, why they have to change a little bit. And it's always fun to discover how things change. Like when they redid Sailor Moon and did the Sailor Moon Crystal, to be fair, it's closer to the manga story than that series was. Like the first season of this mostly aligned, and then they went with it, which is fine. Get your coins, I don't care. But the Crystal, I actually, you know, come for me if you want to. I end up enjoying Crystal more than I did the original anime. And I watched the original 200 episode anime with its movies and everything else. I probably watched that 5 whole times in my lifetime. I know more about Sailor Moon than I do the Bible. That's so bad to say out loud. Like Sailor Moon, Harry Potter, Warhammer, and Tolkien. I know that better than American history. But I digress. The reason I bring that up is because, again, properties have to be reinvented if you want to reach new audiences. I fully expect them to start remaking the Harry Potter movies in about 5 or 6 years. Because us 90s kids who grew up with it, what got us into it is probably not going to hook the next generation. You got to keep refreshing things. But then there is the cultural aspect of that as well. You know, I came up with that one Transformer figure I got back there, the little Optimus Prime from Japan in the box. He's called something else. In that media. And look at me, I deleted a comment because we don't do negativity here. I'm not even going to engage with it. I'm just going to delete it. But somebody's like, I can tell that that figure's not that old. You know, hate to break it to you. That was made in the 2000s. No, it wasn't. You don't know how old I am. You think you know how old I am. I know when I bought that figure. And it was in the 90s, okay? I was there with my money. And it was already old when I got it. I don't understand the need to be like, you know, just extra negative just cause. Let me prove to you why what you like isn't as good as you think it is. What a horrible way to live. That I will pray for you. That's all I can do. That's another nerdy dating tip. If somebody brings you into the things that they enjoy and like, and they're willing to open up and share with you, the response is not, oh, well, that's not as good as you think it is. The response is, thank you for letting me into your world a little bit. Can I share some more of my world with you? Don't be that guy. Anywho, so that got me thinking about other inventions of Transformers that I've come across. In my travels, one of the things I like to do is my popular media that I love the most. I like finding versions of it somewhere else. And I've traveled enough that I've actually collected a few Transformers from different places. The ones I'm going to show you today, I specifically got in different parts of Mexico. Any of my friends who might be watching this, or family, y'all know I go to Mexico a lot. I like Mexico. Some of it's been for Taekwondo stuff. Some of it's been personal travel. Some of it's been, you know, church and mission stuff. You know, we need missionaries more in America. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But I absolutely enjoy experiencing that part of North America. Of course, the food. But a lot of really good friends I've made over the years have been in different parts of Mexico. I've traveled to Chiapas a lot, which is way down there. Been to Guatemala quite a bit as well, out there in the jungles where the Unumacinta separates Chiapas and Guatemala. I've been in that region quite a bit. Down in Frontera. Been to Monterrey quite a bit. Love that city. It's an amazing city. One of the times I was there with my Taekwondo folks, we actually went up to, when you're in Monterrey, when you get way downtown, up on a hill, there's like the largest Mexican flag in the country on top of that hill. And so we went up there to go see it. It was nice enough to take us up there. It was cool. I'm scared of heights, so I didn't get out of the van. I just went, oh, there it is. Yeah, cool. But this is Monterrey. There's money in that city. Because we had to drive past all these like super fancy houses and museums and stuff to get up there. And when we got up there, there's all these teenagers in ball gowns and tuxedos. The place that's up there, there's a museum there too that also has ballroom. There was like 5 quinceañeras going on at one time. And we were there working with Taekwondo schools in the area, martial arts. Taekwondo is huge in Mexico, which is why we go down there quite a bit. But we had just gotten done, like, you know, fighting and kicking and all that kind of stuff. And then we did a little touristy thing. We looked like riffraff. And these kids, when I tell you, when they saw us, were like, it was deserved, though. We looked ratchet. But, you know, I've been to Cozumel. That's where I went for my honeymoon. Cozumel is not Mexico, by the way. I've been Merida. I've gone to Merida quite a bit. Just all up and down the Yucatan, Mexico City. Just a lot of places like Mexico. I always manage, though, to find time to sneak off to a department store at some point and see what I can find in the toy section. And not that these toys are valuable or anything, but they're just the version of characters I like presented to another culture. And it's kind of fun to take a look at the interpretation that happens. Because if you ever have the privilege of traveling outside the US, you know, a lot of popular media comes out of the US, Britain, Bollywood, Hong Kong, like these big production houses across the planet, right? You know, and, you know, down there in South America, you know, we got your telenovelas and the rest of it. But when we take those media that are home to us and put them somewhere else, it changes. Like, everybody always wonders, why does every blockbuster movie now have a scene in Hong Kong? Because that's a huge emerging market, and they are directly marketing by making it a feature in the movie that, look, we're making it take place here for like 30 minutes. come see our film. Like, that's what it's about. But then to see the interpretation of characters or how things are translated. So I'm multilingual. So a few times I'm able to go and actually hear movies or watch TV in the native tongue of the country I'm in. And it's interesting because it's like, I've seen the original, that is not what they said. But everything doesn't translate one to one. Like, somebody asked me to translate something for them in Japanese, and it wasn't so much an issue of direct translation, it's an issue of knowing what a word means, to know how to translate it into another language. That's what makes people who do translation for a living so impressive. Is it's not just one for one dictation, it's understanding word history and composition and all of that. And it's so amazing how artists and writers are able to take property that is unique to a particular culture and translate it to another, and all of us get to be fans and enjoy it together. Like, when they remake and redo stuff, that's not, oh, you're pooping all over my childhood. No. Now this next generation and you have something to talk about. Were you a nerd in the 80s and 90s and early aughts watching Sailor Moon? Well, guess what? You and your niece and nephew can gush about it now. They're about to redo the Rurouni Kenshin anime. They redid Full Metal Alchemist, like, which that seemed really close when they went from Full Metal Alchemist to Brotherhood. Anyway, but how cool is that to see new generations or people in different cultures enjoying the same stuff you do and seeing what versions change? Because you also have to remember, like, the root mythology and stuff that makes sense to people, social references, it changes country to country. So it kind of changes, like, the character models or how they speak or what they're going to be named. Like, the names of the Transformers, if you just said them in English in other places, they don't make any darn sense. You know, so you have to use word, you know, that makes sense, and it's just so cool. So let me shut up and quit talking, and let's look at some of these figures. Now, I haven't watched Transformers in Mexico. I never caught it. Hurts my heart. I will one day. But I know the movies were released down there. I did see the movies down there, but they weren't English. So, whatevs. Lost my opportunity. But I did find some figures. So I got this guy probably 3 years ago, I think. 2 or 3 years ago. And I got him at, I'm thinking, we went to what is the name of that store? It's like a City Club type store. I think it actually might have been City Club, but like, people who were getting our groceries went one way and I went to the toy aisle. So this is one that I picked up on that trip. This is Slipstream. And I wish, if you know more about the Mexico Spanish versions, I would love to hear from you down in the comments. Because I don't know what Sonic Swirl means. That's what's written on the, what is Sonic Swirl? I don't know. But it's called Transformers Cyberverse Power of the Spark, which I assume is the Allspark. And Slipstream here, look at the character face on the box. That's a female. We all know how I feel about the female Transformers. There should be more of them, which apparently there are, and the more that meets the eye. So I've really got to get into it. But this is not just a female Transformer. It's a female Decepticon. How do I know it's a Decepticon? Because that. So they kept the, like, Autobot Decepticon symbols the same, which that's cool. Because I've seen some properties that I've gotten, you know, bits and pieces from across the world where it's like, I would not recognize that as being that if someone hadn't told me. But on the back here, it shows you some of the other characters that you can collect. There's Megatron, Bumblebee, and Soundwave, which is interesting because they kept a lot of the same English names, but it's just so fun. Like, on the back here, like, okay, I'm just be a language dork for a second. Oh, come on, focus for me. It's all in Spanish. So it says it in several languages. And then even the instructions to transform him, because of course it's sold in Mexico, they're in Spanish too. I don't keep this in the box because it's valuable. It's not. I think this was like $8. But it's special to me because it's a Transformer I picked up south of the border. But there's a couple more that I got. So I believe I actually got this Megatron. One second. I did find the Megatron. This guy I actually found last year when we were in Mexico with our Taekwondo friends. The same situation. Some people went to go buy groceries. I went to the toy aisle. And this one, actually, I believe I bought this one. Were we in Cancun? Yeah, we were in Cancun. And I forget the store. Memory. Okay, I'm not young anymore. Just forgive me. But yeah, I do remember which trip I got him on. But I was like, yeah, is that a Megatron? Gotta have him. It's interesting because if you look at the packaging here, like for some reason he is right up against it. Like he's so up against it, he's about opening. But so cool. They put the transforming directions here on the back. Take note, Hasbro or American Arm. Look at that. Look at 12 steps to transform. Oh, they figure 39 steps to transform. Get out of my face. But yeah, 12 steps. But he does not turn into a pew-pew, a rifle. This one turns into a tank. Is there I'm like, man, I don't know everything. Is there an American version of this or a Japanese version where he turns into a tank instead of the gun? Because in the show, he's a gun. And that always tripped me out. So right up there with like where did the trailers come from for Optimus and Rodimus and Ultra Magnus? Like they just appeared out of nowhere. I cannot be convinced that made any sense. Still great, makes no sense. But Soundwave and Megatron they went from 10-story robots to something that big. Soundwave turns into a tape deck. I just dated myself. And he turns into a rifle. How did we go from being 30 feet tall to rifle that fits in hands? Like, is there incredible shrinking technology in the Transformers we don't know about? Help me to understand. But even lists here, it says Decepticon, Megatron. It's very cool. Ages 6+. I'm over 6, so this is definitely for me. But it's super plain. Like, this is not the packaging for old Sonic Swirl over here. Slipstream is better than this one. And this is a side character. This is a main character. This one actually has more to it. So that's kind of interesting. But different characters are going to have different appeal across different cultures. Like, who's the star here might not be the star somewhere else. It's all very, very cool. And look, that's the gun he turns into. Help me. You know? But it's weird because he's so bulky looking. He's like, he's like, I'm swole Megatron. Hey, interesting point. Somebody in my comments said I should come over to the Decepticon side. I'm not going to lie. After watching the War for Cybertron series until they went all Beast Wars on us, because Beast Wars was just never my jam, Megatron's not wrong. There, I said it. Megatron is not wrong. You know what? Quit making empathetic villains if you don't want us to root for the villain. Hela, not wrong. Killmonger, not wrong. Okay? Thanos, misguided, still not wrong. Fight me on it. Those were all Marvel. Vader, not wrong. Fight me on it. So quit making the villain so empathetic and lovable. But Megatron, 10 toes to the ground. Not wrong. Go watch War for Cybertron. And so then I found this guy. I found two on my honeymoon when we went to Cozumel. We went to an HEB. And something we don't have a lot of in America that I've seen in many other countries. I've seen it in the UK, I've seen it in the Philippines, I've seen it in Mexico, everywhere, is like these shopping complexes where it's like garage, grocery store, department store, more store, like all in one. Like we separate everything in America for the most part. That's kind of changing. Urbanization is, suburbanization is kind of changing how we separate housing and commercial stuff. But it's an interesting kind of shopping experience. If you've never been to a store like that, highly recommend it. But, I didn't go in there because I needed food. We were at an all-inclusive resort. I made a beeline for the toy section. My husband knew I was there. He knows what he married. But found two. The first one is a Bumblebee. Kept the same name. But he's a plastic-free packaging, but at least I can see him. No protective covering, but I can see him. It's got the more than meets the eye on there, but the part where you start knowing that you are not in Kansas anymore is when you start reading all the print on it because it ain't. Yeah. Can I get it to focus? Yeah, you see that? English, Spanish, English, Spanish, English, Spanish. Which is interesting. I think they do that because at least between Mexico, United States of America, and Canada, we share a lot. We share a lot culturally, product wise. So a lot of the products, regardless of which one of those three countries it's sold in, you will typically find 2 languages on most things, if not 3: Spanish, English, and French. Because those, in this continent, those are the most spoken languages. So you can sell it anywhere. But I found this in Mexico. If it's sold in America, I don't want to know, because I found it in Mexico. So it's Mexican Bumblebee as far as I'm concerned. And again, he's not coming out of the box. He's not valuable, but it's, my Bumblebee that I found in Cozumel at the grocery store. I love him and I want him to stay nice. So he's just going to live in the box. Ones like this, I actually, because they have the little hang-ups here, they live on the wall. Not that wall. That wall that you can't see. That you might get to see sometime. I'm about to rearrange the whole office anyway. Because how do you make space for more figures? You reconfigure. We don't throw things away. No. I have a rule that if it can't be displayed beautifully, I can't have it. So I just keep rearranging how I display things. Be creative with your space management, okay? There's room. Or marry a nerd, and then both of you just figure out how to make more space in your house. And last but not least, Cozumel Optimus Prime. Which again, they kept the original names, which that's awesome. It says, it meets the eye at the top. Again, he's not special. But you know what he doesn't have? No trailer. You know why? Because his legs are not the trailer. They're the bed. So, again, where's the trailer coming from? I need a reasonable explanation as to why is the trailer just always there, no matter where they are. You went back to Cybertron, where there are no trailers, and a trailer still appeared. But look how he transforms. Like, he's like the Megatron. He's extra swole. At the top, he's swole. At the top, it's a different look to Optimus Prime in the States, but I still find him to be quite adorable. These are not valuable figures, and everything in your collection does not have to be something valuable. You just have to like it. Like, I do have some figures that have some worth behind them, because of when I happened to be alive when I bought them. Like my Sailor Saturn. I have an original 90s Sailor Saturn, the 11.5 inch in the box, never been opened. And she will never leave my sight. She's not for sale, Somebody actually in one of my comments asked, if old Metroplex back there was for sale. No, I didn't buy them to sell them. And I'll be quite honest, I put this up as a short, but I'll bring it up here. I do have figures that really don't mean anything to me that I wouldn't mind giving away. I'll give you an example. Made me get up. But these were given to me, and I think I've got one more somewhere. I do like Star Trek. Mostly Lower Decks, because who's Beckett Mariner is me. That's not fiction. She's real. But somebody gave me these a couple of years ago, and actually it was, I didn't ask for them. I did not want them. But this is a really nice Worf from Gen 2 of Star Trek. And I would love for him to find a new home. And this one is a character that I know nothing about, but Captain Dathon or Dawthon, don't shoot the messenger, would love to find it a good home. And I'm trying to think, I'm still a small YouTuber. I'm not making money from YouTube or anything. I'm just doing it for the kicks at this point in history. But I have stuff like this that people have given me that I appreciate it. Thank you. But I would like to give it to a nerdy home that can appreciate it. Because, I don't know if these are worth anything, because this is not a property that I collect in very much. Although, there's a 7-inch Beckett Mariner statue that I must have. Husband? Anyway. But, I would love for these to go to a good home. But the question is, how do I do that? I'm trying to figure it out, so I need your feedback. What are the milestones you think are worthy of him, or even, you know, this guy here. And would y'all be interested in stuff like that when I get to a point where that would be feasible to thank viewers to do those randomized, now that I know how to do it, those randomized drawings where, you know, you pick from the comments, that you put a link to your video in, and the randomizers pick a person from the comments to receive, you know, a gift. Would that be cool? Because the other option I have is, y'all know I 3D print and paint. I said this in my little short as well. But now this one I'm not giving away because this was printed for me and I painted him. But I'm actually a decent painter. His little tail broke off, but this is Pochita from Chainsaw Man. He turned out pretty great. This is from a paint and take that we did. That is a Battletech figure that I painted. Pro tip, if they say Robotech instead of Battletech, let it go. But yeah, he looks really good. I'm a pretty good painter. I'm not tooting my horn here, but I've got a very steady hand, and a lot of people don't have that. I'm slow at it. Well, no, I painted this one in about an hour. And he just turned out great. But, you know, I've got these kind of things that I paint. Here are... My husband printed this one for me, and we bought this 3D print. But I painted both of these. They came out really, really good. But, like, what if I printed stuff? We have more than one 3D printer because this is a nerd house. And painted those to give out. Like, would y'all... Or, like, Warhammer figures. You know, as the channel grows, you know, I'm getting close to monetization, and I think it's important in this type of viewer and stuff interaction, you know, because I'm not selling anything. I'm not gonna beg you for money, but I do think when people support you, you know, if you can do something cool once in a while, you should do something cool once in a while. So after the channel becomes monetized, I think I want to start having drawings and giving stuff away, especially stuff that I've painted. And since I live in a nerd town, it's real easy for me to come across like some discount 3D prints or sanctioned figures from Games Workshop, that type of thing. I would love to paint those and then hand them out. Like, you're trying to get started in the hobby, I'll let you know that that's going to be a video that, hey, I'm going to give out a figure. It'll be an Angel Exterminatus, a Sanguinius, a Terminator, whatever it is. I painted it. It's for you. Would that be cool? Would you be interested in those types of drawings in the future? Because the channel grew a lot in like the past month. Like in my little world, it was a lot. And looking at my metrics, I'm this close to it turning into something, you know, that pays. And I don't believe in getting paid without providing a service. Because I mean, I have a job, you know, and they pay me because I do something for them. So if my YouTube gets monetized and it at least gives me enough money to pay for shipping and, you know, figures and paint, would y'all be interested in that? Would that be a fair reward exchange for your loyalty and kind comments? I think so. Maybe. Yes? No? So I hope you enjoy that little exploration into figures from other places. Where have you been that you have discovered properties that you love somewhere else? You know, it's just a fun discovery to make every time I get to travel outside of the United States, to see how things have been translated somewhere else and vice versa, to see like what the original version of something that got shipped over here, what it actually is. Because let me tell you, the Sailor Moon figures they got for sale in Japan and the ones they sell here, we're not getting the best ones. But that's fine. That's why I'm, in a couple of years, we're going to I'm going to take my husband on a trip to Japan because he hasn't been. So I'm a good wife. But yeah, so this was a fun video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me about finds that you've made, whether they're valuable or not. If it means something to you, then it's valuable. That's all that matters. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on Wednesday for Warhammer.